back, true believers and all you spectacular Spidey fans, to another extremely exciting episode of Marvel's Spider-Man 2 101. And man, oh man, do we have a boatload of news to talk about. San Diego Comic-Con 2023 has now come and gone. And now, after having seen all the amazing Marvel's Spider-Man 2 reveals happen during the Comic-Con festivities, it's finally time to break them all down in full detail. However, there is way too much info about this game to cover in this one video alone. But I figured that I'd take the time in this video to fully break down all the incredible information that Insomniac and Marvel did decide to unveil for Marvel's Spider-Man 2, primarily revolving around the game's biggest bad of the one and only Venom. And alongside of us finally receiving our first full in-game look of Venom in the game's recent story trailer, we also received some pretty phenomenal details as to what went into making Venom's design, what his main objective is going to be within the game's story, and most importantly is the potential tease of Venom possibly being playable in Marvel's Spider-Man 2. So if you're someone who's beyond hype like me for Venom's inclusion in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, then definitely be sure to thwip that like button and subscribe to the channel for any major Marvel Spider-Man 2 news and updates. So just in case you're someone who wasn't able to actually watch the San Diego Comic-Con Hall H panel for Marvel's Spider-Man 2, it was in fact an entire hour-long panel discussion titled Symbiotic Relationships, which completely dove into the symbiote, Black Suit Spider-Man, and Venom's overall presence within the game. And just saying this as someone who was actually lucky enough to watch this panel in person, the entire team over at Insomniac and Marvel truly knows how much Venom means to Spider-Man fans, but also made sure to bring their own unique twist to the character of Venom as a whole. And as all these Venom details were already thoroughly discussed in a recent Entertainment Weekly article, it genuinely seems like that this interpretation of Venom is going to be one of the most definitive versions of the character that we've ever seen in any form of Spider-Man media. And I, for one, cannot wait. Because coming directly from Entertainment Weekly themselves, they went on to post this article a day before the Hall H panel occurred, going over that the Marvel Spider-Man 2 team discussed the making of Venom, and how the Tony Todd voice villain impacts the game's story. Casting Venom for Marvel Spider-Man 2 proved to be freakier than the character himself for Brian Intihar, senior creative director at Insomniac Games. And as Brian states himself, it was one of the things I was avoiding for as long as possible, because I was so scared of who we were going to get to do the voice. Despite having spearheaded one of the most popular blockbuster video games of the past decade, the previous Spidey game of 2018 that sold 33 million copies as of June of 2022, Intihar acknowledges that we knew it would be so anticipated and people would have a lot of opinions on it. Enter Tony Todd, the actor of stage and screen, known for The Crow, The Rock, The Man from Earth, and of course, for portraying the horror icon known as Candyman, while looking to cast the Venom role in the highly anticipated sequel, which brings Peter Parker, voiced by Yuri Lowenthal, and Miles Morales, Najee Jeter, together again with Mary Jane Watson, Laura Bailey. Intihar heard a few lines of Todd's deep, growling voice in the trailer for 2021's Candyman. It just so happened that Todd had also submitted an audition tape for Marvel's Spider-Man 2. And as Brian states, everything we talked about with Venom, that sense of strength, that sense of fear, that sense of overwhelming, so different from Peter, Tony embraces that completely in the performance.
We are Venom.
And coming from the game's main art director and narrative director of Jacinda Chu and John Paquette, they go on to say that it's really interesting when you start thinking about what makes Venom different than Spider-Man. The symbiote is often known as an allegory for the darkness that the host is fighting against. So what makes him an anti-Spider-Man? We wanted to try something very different, and I don't think you can get much more different from Doc Ock than you do Venom. It's about power, it's about strength, it's about being slighted. It's about Peter being involved much more in the creation of Venom. I think that's what attracted us. One of the things that's great about Spider-Man as a character is he's always got to make sacrifices. The symbiote provides a lot of grist for that mill, so to speak. The story is about what happens when that darkness takes over. It's not just Peter who's impacted by the symbiote. It's the loved ones and the family around the host who has to see what's happening to the person that they love. There's a lot lot of juicy drama that we can get from that. And mainly in regards to Venom's new design, Jacinda Chu went on to state that one of the challenges we had throughout production was how much does Venom talk. I remember we did some concepts early on. Does Venom have lips? Does he laugh? Does he smile? Does he frown? It's a fine line between making this creature scary and intimidating, but then also, I guess, relatable. And the entirety of Venom's design that we do have on full display here simply looks sensational. I love how warped and menacing the white spider symbol looks on Venom's body, while also staying true to the core of Venom's bulky physique. And while this might sound a bit creepy, if we actually zoom in at the very center of Venom's mouth, we can actually make out what appears to be a human eye within the symbiote, which 100% reminds me of the scene within Spider-Man Web of Shadows where we're fighting Venom for the very first time. And while we're still not entirely sure who the Venom symbiote's host is going to be within Marvel's Spider-Man 2, even though Insomniac currently wants us to believe that Harry Osborn is going to be the host, it still is mind-blowing to see that much attention to detail put into Venom. And to cap this article off with another statement from Brian is that for us, Venom is the host plus the symbiote. You don't get Venom without both of them being bonded together. What Tony represents is that bond. I think, if anything, casting Tony made us feel more confident in the visual design of the character. But to add on to Brian Intahar's statement a little bit further, I do want to highlight some of the amazing answers that we did receive from both Brian Intahar and Bill Roseman during San Diego Comic-Con, where yours truly was actually able to directly ask them a question about Venom in Marvel's Spider-Man 2. And based on the answers that both Bill and Brian provide, my overall hype levels for Insomniac's version of Venom have pretty much skyrocketed.
Hey guys, how's it going? Hey
How's
Bill, hey Brian, Josh.
Evan? Good to see ya.
Good to see you guys too. The Hall H panel was incredible yesterday. Totally focused on Venom and the black suit and the symbiote, and it was phenomenal. So my question for you guys is, seeing how big of a role Venom is going to play in the game, what does the character of Venom mean to each of you?
Good question. One thing we talked about, what makes Venom so scary, is that he doesn't want to rob banks, you know? He doesn't want to take over the world. Venom wants to kill Spider-Man. Like, that's his... there's an element of fear. And the second thing that I think is very interesting is the idea of the symbiote suit as an addiction. There are many different addictions in the world, and what can happen is sometimes some people feel like, this is my best self, this is great, and your friends are like, no, you need to stop doing this, it's harmful to you. And so that's a very interesting dynamic to see play out amongst the characters. And so when we first sit down to talk about the game and the story, in addition to gameplay, we're always like, what is the story? Not the plot. What are some of the themes that we're talking about? So there are talking about things like darkness within, addiction, friends being torn apart, or coming together, as we say, be greater together. So I think all those kind of high concepts are really kind of fascinating about the symbiote and Venom.
Yeah, I think for me, it comes down to, you know, when people think of Venom, for me, it's Venom is the equation of a host plus the symbiote equals Venom. And not only are they bonded physically, but there's something else emotionally that bonds them together. So I think when you play Marvel Spider-Man, you'll understand how that comes to be based on the story we're telling.
So this entire article is pretty much Insomniac's way of saying that they have 1010% done their Venom research. For me personally, I view Venom as the complete and utter antithesis of what Spider-Man represents. And seeing that Insomniac is completely pouring their entire hearts and souls into not only Venom's visual design, but also the narrative that goes into that character and what the symbiote represents thematically, hands down tells me that this is going to be one of the best Black Suit Spider-Man and Venom storylines that we've ever seen in any form of Spider-Man media to date. Not to mention that it's a huge sigh of relief for die-hard comic fans that the Venom symbiote is officially confirmed within this article and the recent story trailer that it is 100% going to be an alien species, and not a man-made substance like what we saw in the Ultimate Spider-Man comics. But of course, after receiving all these unbelievable details from the developers over at Insomniac and Marvel Games about about Venom's role and design in Marvel's Spider-Man 2, the biggest question for Venom within the game still remains unanswered. And obviously, that question is, will Venom be playable? And if any of you follow me on Twitter, you might have already seen me post this online, but at this point, given how much effort Insomniac is incorporating within Venom's role and design for Marvel's Spider-Man 2, I am going to flat out eat my goddamn shoe if Venom is not playable within this game. And crazily enough, we might have just gotten one of our biggest teases yet of Venom possibly being playable in Marvel's Spider-Man 2 from a core developer working at Insomniac Games. So these tweets relating to Marvel's Spider-Man 2 do come directly from Brittany Morris, who I was actually fortunate enough to meet at San Diego Comic-Con and is an advanced writer at Insomniac Games working on Marvel's Spider-Man 2 and Marvel's Wolverine. And coming straight from the mouth of Brittany herself, she went on to post after the story trailer for Marvel's Spider-Man 2 was revealed, is that she went on to say that I was in the room when we recorded the "We're going to heal the world" line, and when I tell you everyone in the room stopped breathing, hashtag Spider-Man 2 PS5, which was then followed up with a reply from Twitter user Kimonoda, where they went on to state, "Oh, I bet. But my heart would pound out of my chest with hype if Venom was playable." Where instead of flat out saying no, Brittany goes on to say October 20th we'll find out. And with another reply from Kimonoda, they said, "Oh my, we didn't expect a response, but I pray that Venom is playable. Obviously you can't tell us." And in a very teasing manner, Brittany simply responds with a blushing emoji. Now again, coming directly from a fan's perspective, knowing how big of a presence that Venom has within this game, and seeing how Insomniac have already designed symbiote-related moves to Black Suit Spider-Man, and seeing how Venom is all over the promotional material of the game with the brand new PS5 bundle, the collector's edition statue, and the score of Venom himself is even incorporated into the game's main theme, I just think it would be a massively missed opportunity if Insomniac at some point or another didn't make Venom playable. And if he is playable, I'm sure they will not reveal that before the game's release, and instead they will save that as a surprise for players to discover on their own when first playing through the game. However, as Brittany stated, is that we won't know for sure until Marvel's Spider-Man 2 fully releases worldwide on October 20th. But I'm still gonna keep my fingers crossed for that playable Venom outcome. And until that time comes, everybody, that's the video I have for all you today, and please let me know your thoughts in the comments section down below. What do you think of all these insane Venom details for Marvel's Spider-Man 2? And after taking all that information into consideration, who do you think Venom's host is going to be within the game? Is it going to be Harry, Norman, Peter, or potentially someone else? Let me know what you think. Be sure to leave a like on the video and subscribe to the channel if you did enjoy, and for more Marvel Spider-Man 2 videos like this in the future. Thank you all so much for watching. Stay spectacular, Spidey fans, and until next time, peace out.